Yes, I can see it. Fate intended for us to meet here. Suffer as these warriors may, their pain could be the foundation for a new age. The Han Empire faces its final days. In these dark times, elixir once again threatens to become the catalyst that awakens the dragons lying dormant across our land.
A forbidden power.
This chaos, is it all his fault?
How about it? Help me forge the ultimate elixir and join me in immortality. We must retake Puyang!
That jade is...
every bit as strong as the rumors say. Damn it, Father. He's hiding something.
Master, have you any idea who the Taoist atop the dragon was?
We may simply need to track down the source of demonic chi.
We are getting overrun! You should do likewise! In the end, people will prioritize their own desires. Friendship and the like are not to be trusted in.
For what purpose do you wager your life?
I will redeem myself by offering up this life! The power to control this world lies in none other than this resplendent crimson glow.
I can't. I won't kill him.
Wolong Fallen Dynasty might be an action game, but after playing through some brand new areas for about 5 hours, I went away realizing that it innovates on the exploration loop in Soulsborne games more than anything else. While the game's challenging combat is as stellar as you would expect from a Team Ninja game, it's the morale rank system that truly feels like it's shaking things up. In Wolong, both the player and enemies have a morale rank that indicates their strength. You can raise your morale rank simply by defeating enemies, but it goes up faster if the enemy you beat has a higher morale rank than yourself. If you get killed, your morale rank will decrease, and the same can be said for the enemy. Unlike a level-based progression system, Wolong's morale rank indicates not how strong the player is, but how that strength compares to your enemies. But how is any of this related to exploration? Well, Wolong features one other way to increase your morale rank: raising flags. At first glance, battle flags appear to merely function as your traditional bonfire-like checkpoint. By resting at a battle flag, you regain health, refill your potions, respawn enemies, and so on. You know the drill. But finding a new battle flag rewards you in a way that previous Soulsborne checkpoints have not. It increases your fortitude rank. Getting killed decreases your morale rank, but it will never go below your fortitude rank. That means the more checkpoints you discover, the stronger you become. Warlong stages are also dotted with marking flags. Marking flags don't function as checkpoints like battle flags do, but raising your flag here will increase your fortitude rank anyway. Marking flags are often guarded by fierce enemies you have to defeat first, while others are cleverly hidden. In a traditional Soulsborne title, staying near a safe checkpoint and killing the same enemies over and over is often a valid tactic to become stronger. Enemies positioned near a spot that is unfavourable to the player are often best ignored, especially for beginners. But Wolong's morale rank system changes all of this. It encourages the player to go out and explore, fight tougher enemies and put themselves at risk. In return, they are rewarded in a way that playing it safe simply won't do. During my playtime through multiple stages, I found myself naturally exploring the map in its entirety. I was fighting optional enemies that otherwise wouldn't have been worth the risk. The morale rank system feels like a more natural way to gain strength and gives less skilled players the chance to still have a more varied experience. Wolong is often compared to the Nioh series, and rightfully so when you look at its Soulsborne-like challenging combat. However, when it comes to mobility, a more appropriate comparison might be Ninja Gaiden. A double jump and no stamina restraints make it feel somewhat similar in terms of flow, both in its exploration and combat. Stages have been designed with the double jump in mind, as cliffs and rooftops of houses and even giant temples can be climbed. Items can often be found in such places, and figuring out how to get there serves as a fun distraction from getting killed by demons. You can do a plunging attack on enemies from above, and if you approach an enemy slowly, you will often be able to stealth kill it as well. This allows careful players to eliminate weaker enemies without having to fight them, much like in From Software's Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. The key mechanic of combat is Deflect. Deflect is triggered by pressing the dodge button at the right time. It parries an enemy's attack while lowering the enemy's spirit. Once the enemy's spirit is decreased significantly, it is stunned and open for a powerful fatal strike. If this sounds familiar from Sekiro 2, well, that's because it is. But that's hardly a bad thing when it's this well executed. Literally any attack in this game can be deflected. This reminded me of the jump boost in Mario Kart of all games. First, you think it's just a trick you can do when jumping off ramps, but later you realise that small things like a bump in the road or even the bouncing of those giant music notes in Music Park can trigger a jump boost. Ranging from melee weapon attacks to projectiles like arrows and fireballs to even an enemy's ground pound, as long as the timing is right, Wolong allows you to turn any form of threat into an opportunity. That timing has been made significantly easier when compared to last year's demo. While Wolong still feels like a challenging experience as a whole, some enemies have become a lot more manageable. Another factor that made certain sections of my time with Wolong feel easier than the demo is the fact that often someone was fighting alongside me. As you progress through the game, you'll befriend warlords, whom you can summon to assist you on the battlefield. While this is usually optional, there are points in which the story forces you to be assisted. From a story point of view, it might make sense, but as someone who always wants to tackle a challenge by myself, I couldn't help feeling that I didn't want my fellow warlords to interfere. It's great as an option for players who don't want to play online but find the game too challenging to beat without any help. I just hope that the story won't force it too often in the main game. What makes Wolong unique is how it borrows the parry mechanic from Sekiro and mixes that up with the diversity of Nioh. I've been able to try out about half of the 13 melee weapon types Wolong has to offer. Individual weapons do not just come with different stats, but also have their own martial arts, which are powerful moves that consume the spirit gauge. This means that even the same weapon type can feel significantly different from weapon to weapon. In Wolong, you can equip up to 2 melee weapons at the same time. The Deflect counter attack is a move that deflects an enemy attack while switching weapons. As the name implies, it allows you to simultaneously deflect and counter attack. It's a fun way to switch weapons, but when utilised as a counter there's a bigger risk of getting hit, as the timing takes longer to get used to. At first it felt like something that looked cool but wasn't really worth the risk, but I'm starting to learn how it could be useful for hit and run situations.
This foe may pose us a challenge.
The first non-humanoid boss I faced was Sun Jian, a giant ape with heavy attacks that seemed scary at first. If you stay calm, however, you'll notice that its attacks are easy to deflect. As you might expect from a Soulsborne game, mid-bosses like Zuyan will reappear as normal enemies in later stages. Reuniting with Zuyan only to learn that you can now overpower it with ease gives you confidence, as you will learn just how much you've improved as a player. Of course, the next moment you'll get eaten by a giant crocodile and lose all of that confidence again. I thought that Feng Ji, a giant boar-like boss, was going to be a boss fight similar to Sekiro's Blazing Bull. Blazing Bull charges at you at full speed, and the player has to run around it to attack it from the side or back. In Warlong, however, Feng Ji's charge attacks can be deflected, so there's no need to run around it. Deflecting its charge attacks and counter-attacking before it is out of range feels great. That being said, Feng Ji didn't pose a serious enough threat, and I was able to slay it on my first try. It probably won't be among the game's more memorable bosses. Aoye, on the other hand, is a boss I won't soon forget. Its eerie creature design alone is enough to leave a lasting impression. As with any boss in Warlong that I have encountered so far, the key to defeating Aoye is deflecting its attacks. However, it appears to have a much wider array of attack patterns than most other bosses, which makes the timing of each individual attack harder to learn. It's a fun, varied boss that offers a decent challenge. Warlong Fallen Dynasty is set to release on March 3rd and will be available on Xbox Game Pass on day 1. With Warlong as January's IGN first, expect more exclusives throughout the month.
Forward.